Hello? Hello? Manit? Hello? Hello? To who? Yeah, no, I mentioned I sent it long time ago. He must check his WhatsApp. Okay, no, I'll try it unless, yeah, I'll try it, but I did send it in the morning. Okay, there's no WhatsApp from, no, the number that I got from Mr. Chaban, that's the one I used. Okay, let me just see. The number is on my phone, so I won't able to know what number is that, but the one that Mr. Chaban sent me. Sorry? Can I send it to you, then you can send it to him? Okay. Okay, no problem. Sure. Hello? Yes, you got it. And I don't know, is it Mina? I sent a link with a message. There is a message. I don't know what it's talking about. What is talking about the dead? What does it say about the dead?
Right, Eddie, mute.
No, 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 that's not from me. Okay, let me just quickly check because I sent the link. There is a message, but let me just quickly check again. Hey, Mose? Yeah, no, I didn't forget. Sure. Sure. Bye. Hello? Good morning, members.
Morning, Eddie. How are you?
I'm okay. You?
Yes, no, good. Fighting fit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Chairperson has requested that we start at 5 past 9. He will be joining a bit late. Good morning, Chair.
Morning, Mr. Matonsi.
Yes, Chair, it's about 5 minutes past 9. We can start with the meeting.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Matonsi. Good morning, honorable members. Morning, Deputy Minister and all your officials in attendance. We are today going to deal with the item as highlighted on the agenda. We also start this meeting, as you know, that we extended words of condolences to Honorable Lizelle and the family and the entire IFP family. We want to extend comfort words, Honorable Lizelle, and members, as they interact, they will extend their word of condolences to ourselves and to the leadership of the IFP. Members who are going to receive the 3 items as we have been interacted with in the last committee meeting, the ABIS, or in the last committee meeting. And also there were 2 items that we did deferred. The
recording in progress.
The appointment of the commissioner. And we've since gave members to interact and consult. And today we'll finalize this process and also to consider the correspondence from the speaker we have received from the president. We'll deal with those issues and then we end our session. And the minutes for the previous meeting, Mr. Matonsi will take us through the minutes. I'm going now to invite Mr. Matonsi to render apologies, and I'll invite the Deputy Minister also to render apologies and introductions. Mr. Matonsi.
Morning, members, and morning. I've got an apology from the Minister of Home Affairs and also from Ms. van der Merwe. That's all from my side, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Matonsi. Deputy Minister.
No, thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to all the members of the Portfolio Committee. Indeed, we do pass our condolences to Lizelle, as well as all the members of the IFP and the Buthelezi family on the passing of the traditional Prime Minister of KwaZulu-Natal. Chair, I would just like to firstly indicate that the Minister is in the JCPS meeting, which is preceding the Security Council, and that is why he could not be here this morning. With me, I have the DG, Mr. Tommy Makote. I also have Mr. Mavuso, Mr. Modiri Matthews, as well as Mr. Sigama, all of whom are DDGs. Mr. Mavuso is also acting as DDG Information from the Ministry's office. That is all from our side, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, and all apologies noted. Any other apology? Okay. Deputy Minister, you can now introduce the item number 3, and then members will interact with the item after that.
Sorry, Chairperson.
Deputy Minister? Yes,
Sorry, Chair, I was just trying to interject. I struggled to unmute.
Oh, okay. Honorable Ross, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to submit an apology for Honorable Kanyile.
Okay.
Yeah, she has unfortunately a clashing meeting that she couldn't avoid.
Okay.
Chairperson and Honorable Ross, I just admitted her.
Deputy Minister, can you proceed with the introduction of the report?
Chairperson, can you please recognize me?
But your apology has been recorded, Honorable Zen. I mean, Honorable Kanyile. Sorry.
I am in the meeting, Chairperson, but I may leave a bit earlier, as Honorable Ross has indicated, but I am still here.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Kanyile. Noted. All apologies have been noted and accepted. Is there any other apology before we start?
Yes, it's mine.
Honorable Bongo?
I'm in a deep rural here. It keeps on cutting me.
Okay, noted. Any other apology, members? Okay, thank you, honorable members. I'm now inviting the Deputy Minister to introduce the presentation. Deputy Minister.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to all the members of the Portfolio Committee. We are here to present the progress on the Automated Biometric Identification System project, which has been one of the very thorny issues for the department, and we have always consistently came to the Portfolio Committee to report both challenges and how we're dealing with them in this regard. You will remember, Chair, that this is a project that was run by CETA in terms of procurement, and we inherited a service provider by the name of EOH. We then had quite a number of issues with the project, mainly mirrored by corruption and everything else, which we came and presented to the Portfolio Committee. And I think at the backbone of everything else, we had agreed that we need to make sure that we save this particular project and make sure that we derive value for money out of this particular project, because we all understood that building a future Home Affairs will rely quite a lot on this particular system being implemented. And that is what we have done throughout the past couple of years. We are very happy that today we are presenting progress in terms of how far we have gone in the completion of the phase 1, how far we are going with the phase 2, how we are dealing with the contractual issues, how we are deriving value for money out of this particular project, and how far we are. It brings us quite a good excitement to be in the Portfolio Committee today with the tone of the presentation that we are bringing, that is really showing the kind of progress that we have made. I will then allow Mr. Mavuso to then take us through the specifics of the project and how far we are with it and how we are proceeding. That is through you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DDG Mavuso.
No, good morning, Chairperson and members. My apologies, trying to unmute. So we'll present this committee with the update in terms of ABIS. So the next slide of this presentation is just to indicate the purpose and the background, and also to refer to what we refer as ABIS project timelines, and also the contractual issues that ADEMIA has, and then we also refer to phase 2 phase 2 deliverables and the budget expenditure up to so far. As the Deputy Minister has indicated, that the ABIS project commenced in December 2017 after appointment of EOH with More4Cards. More4Cards was later acquired by ADEMIA, so the company changed the name to ADEMIA from More4Cards. So the project, as Chair have indicated, has had multiple delays. After those multiple delays, on the 30th of March 2020, EOH indicated that they wanted to exit the contract after a series of issues that bedeviled the project. And in 2021, we then started that process after having consulted with the committee and also National Treasury on the various issues relating to the expenditure that had already occurred. These expenditures, Chair, on slide 4, indicate that we had already invested in software and hardware. So therefore, in order for us not to have fruitless and wasteful expenditure, we agreed that the contract would be ceded to ADEMIA, and that was done. We then also signed a trilateral agreement between ourselves, ADEMIA, and EOH, where we commenced with the transition period, and then the project was started by ADEMIA on the 1st of May 2021. And the understanding was that they should have completed by the end of November in that particular year. This project had 3 phases, which I will explain in the next slide. Phase 1, they were supposed to ensure that ABIS is fully functional with the migration of the entire data that is sitting on the harness, and it must be in a usable format, and that it must also have fingerprint capability, facial recognition capability. latent sense functionality, and also that it should be fully operational in production. And then phase 2 was supposed to ensure that ABIS is enhanced and by implementing iris, palm prints, and infant footprints, because these are some of the critical biometrics that we need to ensure that we are able to process our citizens in a more safer way, and also that they were able to authenticate clients and reduce cases of fraudulent transactions. And then phase 3 was supposed to add other biometric modalities that were required. For an example, the police need us to help them with the DNA samples, so that if you have a biometric capability like that, you can be able to do that. And then you have system maintenance and support. So that would have been the complete picture of what ABIS should look like. Just as a reminder, Chair, to say that after then the signing of the contract with Academia, the deliverable that we needed was, as I've indicated previously, fully functional capabilities, and also those features that I've made reference to, with your facial recognition and others. So basically, that was what's supposed to have delivered. Now, I want to then go back to on the right-hand side of the presentation, just also to indicate, Chairperson, I've made just 2 or 3 short updates on the presentation, because over the weekend there are some developments that we had. So it would have been an injustice if I don't make those, but they do not compromise the whole quality of the presentation. So in terms of the contractual obligations from Academia, it was that from the 1st of May 2021 to the end of November, they were supposed to complete phase 1 with an additional 1-month grace period if they could not. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Then there was a request that the phase 1 completion be extended to the 28th of February. By that time, there was another request that it must be extended to the 31st of March, and then the 3rd extension to 8th April. And then the 4th extension was to go live on the 20th of June. And we presented these numbers to the Portfolio Committee on the 9th of May when we appeared here. Now, on the 20th of June, when we were ready to change over last year, then it was clear that there are certain components of phase 1 that were ready, and there are certain components that were not ready. And that discussion, therefore, there was an agreement that we then separate phase 1 into 2 small components. That's when the staggered approach of phase 1 was introduced. Phase 1A consisted of what Hannes has, which is your fingerprint and photo. And then phase 1B would have been then the facial recognition and latent search. So fast forward then to 22 November last year, phase 1A went live. We changed over to ABIS. We ran through ABIS until March, when we are supposed now to introduce phase 1B to complete phase 1. And on that day, when we were supposed to then start that work, ABIS database was unavailable. In other words, we could not transact on it for a period of about 15 hours. And at that time, we then took a decision that we could not risk opening the offices the following Monday with no system that is operational on the 20th of March. So we then decided to switch back and to Hannes and demote ABIS to a secondary database, so to say, for it to use that word. So therefore, until they completed all the stack transitions and to investigate why the database was not available and many other issues that they had to deal with at that particular period. Then that they've dealt with those issues. So if we were to fast track to 8th September, which is last Friday, which was a date within which we're now earmarking for a switch over. The reason why we took so long, Chairperson, was that we could have done this work as early as June, the switch over back to Hannes. But unfortunately, we had to make choices. We had to release an update on live capture on the 23rd of June. And unfortunately, that release was so important because our engagement or contractual obligations we have with SARS was coming to an end in June. So therefore, we could not delay that component. So we had to release that and then ensure that after that release of the update of, on live capture, We then go back to ABIS and now do testing of the new interfaces that were released. So just to go then to say that this staggered approach, as I've said, was introduced in June, and then the phase 1B had those latent search and facial recognition, as I've said. And also just to indicate, Chairperson, that when there was that delay in the 17th and 18th of March due to ABIS database indexing and functionalities that were not released, we downgraded the ABIS, as I've said, but also we could not start with phase 2 in April because phase 2 was supposed to start immediately at the beginning of the financial year, because we had requested DMIA to address those technical issues, and we did not issue them with the work order to start with phase 2. So they concluded the development and integration and test of phase 1, which is now was ready for delivery as per clause 7.2 of their master service delivery requirements. So, Chair, I've indicated on this slide that they resolved all the stack application, they synchronized the systems. I've made reference to say that our MOA with SARS was coming to an end, so we had to prioritize live capture, and also that we needed to ensure that ABIS was still testing with the interfaces. So, in a nutshell, Chairperson, that's what transpired, and then we were waiting for switchover on the 8th of September. Then phase 2 only commenced on the beginning of May 2023. There was an estimated period that it will conclude in April 2024. But we've had to have discussions to say that we need to add resources on phase 2 in order for us to ensure that we complete ABIS phase 2 in March 2024 in line with our APP targets, which requires us that the target must be achieved. Also, not only adding resources, we also reduce testing timelines so that we can be able to get time. So we've got about 5 weeks back from the initial schedule for phase 2. This slide just indicates what are the deliverables for phase 2, which is the functional iris, the infant footprint, and the palm print. Chair, the infant footprint is critical for us to be able to capture its infant footprint, because one of the issues that the identification management bill, which we currently released for public comment, requires that we lower the age of eligibility for ID application to 10. So we also want to ensure that we secure the biometrics of children much more early, because the current age of 16 exposes us to a lot of fraud. So we do believe that if we bring that down, the capturing of biometrics of children, we will reduce incidences of people applying for passports for children that are not their own, but they are committing fraud, and many other instances. The study we've previously indicated with the CSIR, when we wanted to look at the biometrics, it indicated to us that the minutiae, the fingerprint, and also on the footprint stabilizes at about 6 weeks when the child is born. So therefore, it is practically possible for us to get good images of biometrics of children and secure their identity and prevent fraudulent transaction. Functional iris will ensure that with our e-gates, we are able to verify people utilizing iris or facial recognition. And also it will help, in cases of amputees and many other people whose fingerprints are either out due to hard labor and many other related indicators. And then the palm print also is a full set of what we call full hand that will be able to a person recognizable again in case you've got damaged fingerprints and others, you'll be able to pick up from there. So that this development has started. There's good work that has been done up until now. So we're expecting that the ongoing development continues in that regard. Chair, just in the next slide is to indicate that as of the end of June, we had budgeted for this financial year about 30 million rand for this project, and we have expenditure for about 4.7 million rand. This is based on the milestones that have been delivered. So I know that by 30th of June, in any project or budget expenditure cycle, you should be on a linear projection of about 25%, but we're below that again because we ought to pay based on the milestones achieved, not just to trying to achieve linear projection. So in conclusion, I want to indicate that in May, the department reported to the committee also that it had levied penalties on the phase 1 delays to ADEMIA, and though ADEMIA has made a settlement proposal that was not acceptable to the department, we have advised them to reconsider their proposal and revert back to us. So to date, we have not received a revised proposal. So we'll be engaging with them going forward. But in order for us to secure whatever that might be due to us, we have not paid them an invoice of about 8 million rand, which we have withheld until we have settled the dispute on penalties. And then also, just Chair have indicated the switch over to ABIS took place on Friday the 8th. ABIS is now a primary database. That switch over was successful. Over the weekend on Saturday, we printed passport, smart ID, official passport, ordinary passport, testing the end-to-end process. So we're able to capture, we have test cases that we had in the morning at our Menlyn and Byron branch, because we wanted to test, because Menlyn is on what we call Service Manager Web, which is Live Capture Web. And then Byron is on Service Manager Desktop. So we tested those processes up to GPW, up to printing, up to hand over those documents to clients. So that was successful on Saturday. And then as of Sunday, we couldn't do any work because CETA was doing DR testing for all systems in government. So we only started monitoring the stability of ABIS yesterday. On the 11th, when the office is open, we opened the offices early as 7, some of the big offices, to ensure that by 8 o'clock, we would have just received reports from offices whether they were successfully capturing applications. That has happened. They were successfully captured. But I must indicate that we are now doing what we refer to as stability monitoring for ABIS. Because we're not expecting a smooth ride. We want to ensure that everything that occurred previously of stack application does not repeat itself, except to say that we had one case where there were system timed out because of certain applications. I think there were just 2 of them. So we are monitoring that so that at least we ensure that the system runs smooth. And then if the 4-week period that we have set ourselves to monitor the system, we will be on a daily basis picking up what are the exceptions. If there are any issues, we'll keep on reporting on them, recording them, ensure that we resolve them with the service provider. And then we'll then take it from there. But we do expect that moving forward, I think things will settle and the database will be much more better. We do have other external parties, not only Live Capture, other external parties that we've met with in the last few weeks, including the banks, through the Banking Association of South Africa and SABRIC, who are obviously also concerned about the change because they want, to get to consume the data 24/7 in their case, particularly banks like digital banks that do not have people who are working in, they are relying on us, the verification on HANIS and also now on ABIS to ensure that there's commercial value that they get through the onboarding of clients. So they've reached some of the consent, but we are ensuring them that the change should not affect them because we have created all the necessary interfaces that talks to the back end of the system that will support them. So, Chair, in a nutshell, that's where we are. We are recommending that the Portfolio Committee notes the presentation on the ABIS status report. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, DDG Mavuso. Members, this is a presentation. I will start with Honorable Khanyile, though she's indicated that she'll leave earlier to comment on the report. Honorable Rose, Honorable Mokhale, Honorable Lekhwase, Honorable Molekwa, Honorable Pillay, Honorable Bongo, and Honorable Mutise. In that order, Honorable Khanyile. Okay, Honorable Rose.
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, thank you for the presentation. First of all, allow me to extend condolences to Honourable Lizelle and her IFP family. We know how much Prince Buthelezi meant to you, and please accept our sincere condolences. Deputy Minister, I think, you said in the beginning that we agreed that we would save this project. And I think, it was based on a statement on the 5th of March, 2019, where Parliament was told that harness was obsolete. When Minister Gigaba launched this project, he stated that one of the major challenges faced was the imminent collapse of the 20-year-old biometrics database harness. So I think, we were led to believe that it's obsolete and not an option. And unfortunately, we might have made a different decision in that case, as opposed to continuing to try and flog what looked like a dead horse at that time. But Chairperson, I battle with these reports because they're always presented in a way, it's always 99% complete. The 12th of July, 2022, DDG Mavuso told the committee that the project was 99% complete. 99% complete with the data migration, etc. So I just want to get clarity on which exact functionalities have been activated and gone live. And then if the DDG or whoever can just tell us, if it's not live, then when is that going to be live? Because phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, it gets mixed up all the time. So if we start at the beginning of this project, and one of the major reasons for the project and why the police also gave some assistance in this regard was their requirement to the ability to be able to search for suspects by matching latent prints against records on ABIS. So I want to understand, is ABIS currently able to perform facial recognition and latent searches as detailed in the tender? And if not, when will this happen? Then has all the data now, the harness data, been migrated to ABIS in its totality and in a readily usable form with no duplication of data? And are there any concerns on the integrity of that data? And then a related question to this, if there are concerns in terms of the integrity of that data, for what period of time will harness and ABIS have to run concurrently before any potential data integrity challenges will be deemed to be over? In other words, that harness can then be put into retirement. Then when the project was launched, it was one of the major factors was that banks will be able to verify client identity quicker. So is ABIS an improvement on the existing performance derived from harness? And then does ABIS support integration of various interface applications for live capture, NPR, integrated justice system, national immigration identification system, the online verification, and commercial online verification? So if I could just get clarity on each one of those. Is it done? Is it not done? And with the delays, the penalties, and costs. And I think, we're talking about a project that's been delayed for 4 years and 10 months. So I'd just like to understand how much money has been spent on the maintenance and improvements of harness after the original ABIS go live date, which was November 2018. And then the department reported on the 27th of October 2020 to this committee a total spend of 280.87 million, and 113 million was spent on hardware. So bearing in mind that this committee has been informed that the hardware has a limited useful lifespan of 5 years, what percentage of that amount that was spent on hardware is hardware that has now already reached the end of its useful life? Or has that hardware been replaced and refreshed at some stage? So I want to understand, there's money that's been spent. What additional money is going to be required on hardware, if any? Then, Chairperson, just going to the question now of and trying to understand that we had an original contract value of 409 million. So the supply of ABIS would cost about 300 million, and then maintenance 110 million. So it seems to me that about 129 million of the original contract value remains to be spent. So is that 129 million part of the is that money going to be going to IDEMIA over time? Or what has happened to that 129 million? The difference between the original contract value, what has been and what has been paid out to EOH so far. Then in terms of fraud and corruption, I expected to hear more about this, considering the shocking nature of how this project was awarded. So Deputy Minister, the 25th of August 2020, you told us that Home Affairs is paying for this irregular contract with irregular expenditure and the hardship that Home Affairs now had to face to resolve the issue, and that you would leave no stone unturned in dealing with the people that were corrupt. So if we look at the SABNT report of the 15th of February 2021, it recommended disciplinary action to be taken against numerous CETA and Home Affairs members, criminal action to be taken against members from EOH and CETA. And the question to you, Deputy Minister, is how many prosecutions have been instituted? Have there been any convictions? And how much has actually been recovered? Because I consider an amount, and I think it was in the range of 37 million or so that EOH was supposed to pay to Home Affairs. And I wanted to understand, has that amount of money actually been paid? Has that penalty been paid to Home Affairs? What are the status of convictions? How much has been recovered? And then, Chairperson, in terms of security, I touched on this question previously, and it's a concern of mine. From what we see, banks and other service providers also use the service. So I asked last week in the last meeting about the online booking system, and it turned out that it's using the same service as other critical services inside of Home Affairs, and this was causing downtime, etc. So I want to understand if we can just get an idea of sort of the banks and other service providers that are using this service. Which service providers are using this service? And is the data secure? So in other words, when you do an inquiry on the ABIS or harness or whatever it may be, do you do a query and then it comes back and says this is the identity, or is the raw data accessible to that client? I want to understand to what extent is that data protected and encrypted end to end. And then in this regard as well, how many transactions are these banks and other service providers or clients of the biometric system? How many transactions are they doing, let's say, per annum? And is this affecting the live civics system at all? Is this causing a potential problem? That's it from me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ross, for your contributions. Honorable Mohale. Honorable Khwasa. Honorable Kanyile.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to everyone. I do apologize for earlier on. I was struggling to unmute. Chairperson, I would also like to join you in sending or expressing our condolences to the IFP members, the family and friends, as well as our colleague, Honorable Lizelle. Chairperson, coming to the presentation that we have received today, I have been largely covered by Honorable Rose. However, I do have a few questions that I would like to pose. The first question that I would like to find out is how is the department training and capacitating staff and other users, such as bank, on how to use the biometric system effectively and efficiently? And on the issue of ROS, another question that I have is that is there provision within ABIS to have more offline functionality at frontline officers in the event of network or power downtime? The last question that I have with regard to the presentation is how can the ABIS project team ensure that the biometric data migration from the HANIS legacy system is accurate, complete, and secure? And I also wish to reiterate on the question that was raised by Honorable Rose, especially when it comes to the delays on this project, that how much cost have the department incurred, and the fact that he was also asking about the recoveries, that how much money has been recovered or prosecutions that have taken place to the people that we found on the other or the wrong side of the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kanyine. Honorable Molekwa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I also want to appreciate the presentation has been presented and also commend the department on the progress made and the achievement on the ABIS Chairperson. I also hope that the settlement between the department and the mayor will be reached amicably so that everything can be settled, Chairperson. I don't have any question. Mine is just to note the report, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Molekwa. Honorable Play.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair, let me join you and all other members in passing our messages of condolences to the IFP on the passing away of their leader. And we pray strength to the family and to the IFP during this difficult time. Chair, let me also appreciate the report and note the presentation and the progress that's made. I'm going to go very quickly through the questions. When does the department envisage on resolving this dispute in respect of the penalty or outstanding payment? Because really it can't be something that's going to be indefinite. If they've already started a process and it hasn't been resolved, when do they envisage resolving this this dispute? What was the reason for them to continue with IDMIA in phase 2, knowing well that they were not able to perform and there were so many delays? So is there any particular reason why we had to continue with them? And then also the move over to ABIS, just if they can share with us, did they lose any data? And what is the strength of reducing fraud and corruption, not being able to access the system if you're unauthorized? And lastly, is ABIS a faster system? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay, for your contributions. Honorable Bongani Bongo.
No, thanks, Chairperson. I'd also like to join you and the other members to send the condolences to Honorable Lizelle and the IFP team on the great loss of Tuanara Pinange. With regard to the presentation, I think generally the question asked by colleagues are quite generic, which what the department must answer. Because you remember, Chair, we inherited this project as the DM size, but it does not paint a very clear picture to me that inheritance has yielded the fruits that we really intended. Because what we would have expected is that it must paint a picture of the punitive measures that have been taken to the EOH. How far are those? Because when we recommended that we take IDEMIA, we said we must divide this thing into two. One is to deal with all the challenges that relate to corruption and all the problems that were brought in by EOH. That was one. Two was that we need to save the project. So from where I'm sitting now, the picture is not clearly painted whether we have really saved the project, because the reports from EDM does not clearly show that there is a clear progress and they clearly understood the scope of work that they needed to do, and which raises a point that says, when other colleagues said this was a subcontractor of the same EOH, we must not expect so many fruits. And we can see now how many years later, and now we're told they're in phase 2. I want to also know, like Honorable Pillay, what takes us to phase 2 when we have not done well on phase 1? Clearly, the deliverables are not as they painted when we presented that they are taking over. So we want to know also the costs, like all other colleagues, the cost that that were involved, and how do we mitigate the mitigation of all this cost. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Bongani Bongo, on your contributions. Honorable Modise Mtsa.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I think colleagues have dealt with issues of concern. I will just make an emphasis, Chair, to check with the department with regard to the security of the database, how secure it is, because we are all aware of the fraudulent activities that normally takes place in the system. Now, it has not really come up strongly in the presentation on measures that have been taken in ensuring that they will secure the database and the system is such a way that it will prevent any activity of fraudulent taking place or any attempts thereof. My last concern, Chair, will be on the spending. The 16% spending on the budget is really of concern for me. And the question I have is that is it also not contributing or having an impact in the progress or causing any delays thereof with regards to the implementation of ensuring that the system go live or it's being implemented fully? So the 16% for me, it's not enough. And what could be the reasons that has kept or has made it, the department not to spend more on it, and really is it not impacting or also contributing to the delays that were earlier? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, DM and the TTG. These are the issues raised by our members, and I think the focus is on the performance of the entity that you have interacted with as department, and perhaps the milestone that we can identify with, and the challenges that you are confronted with in relation to this ADEMIA. So I would invite you, the DDG, to respond to these issues, and I'll also invite the DM also to comment on the issues that are raised. DDG Mavusa.
No, thanks, Chair. I'll try and deal with the questions that members raised, but I think there's questions relating to disciplinary cases that Honorable Rose has raised, so maybe I'll refer that to the DG and the Deputy Minister. So, Chair, the first issue that Honorable Ross has raised is that when ABIS was launched, the committee was made to believe that Hannes was dead. Chair, I need to start there. So when Hannes started having problems, now our service, remember Hannes used to be run by a company that was Mapless. So Mapless had two subcontractors, which was NEC. So NEC was responsible for hardware, BIS was responsible for the software of Hannes. Now, it was almost on every month, every week, we would get reports that disk collapsed, there's no more spares. So they were more like going through old system where they were trying to get disk from old equipment because the manufacturer was no longer producing more equipment needed. There were a lot of environmental issues that related to Hannes at that time. Now, then in 2015, when the department then requested Mapless to give a proposal on how we could actually upgrade Hannes to make it more stable and resolve the problems that we had, because there was no intention from the side of the department to go and acquire ABIS. Then Mapless came with a proposal that was 700 million rand to say Hannes can only be stabilized if we do a tech upgrade of up to 700 million rand. So then the department took a decision that we don't have such a budget for us to be able to fund this project. But also, how do you pay somebody 700 million rand when we have not gone to the market and see whether there are other options? We then appointed, we went to CETA to appoint the CSIR to develop the specifications for a system that will be able to replace Hannes, and so that we can then go to the market. They developed the specifications for ABIS. We then took the ABIS to the market in order to test the market, because again, in terms of public finance laws, there's an expectation that we need to have gone to the market and tested whether there's somebody else who can provide this. Through that procurement process, then came up the three service providers that were, so to say, the last three that were in the bid. This was EOH with their 409 million proposal. There was Accenture, it was about in the region of about 500 odd million. And then there was this one of NEC, which was around 600 million. So therefore, the decision was taken in that regard that we now need to implement ABIS, because we can no longer deal with the issue of Hannes. Now, then Honorable Ross, you will then say ABIS is still, Hannes is still working till today, which is true. What happened is that in 2018, maybe let me quickly say, in 2018, we received correspondence from Mapless, then the company that was now maintaining this on a month-to-month basis, that they are they want to they are leaving South Africa, because there was a Japanese consortium. They are leaving South Africa, they are not trade in South Africa, so they are no longer prepared to sign the extension with the Department of Home Affairs for an annual support of Hannes. We then went, said to them, okay, fine, we accept that. What we'll do, we will have to speak to your subcontractors and say, can they continue to subsidize by complete this? This was initially. So we then sat down with, at the beginning of January 2019, with NEC and BIS to say, you are the subcontractor for MAPS, but now we want you to continue to do support maintenance for Hannes for another 2 years while we are doing maintenance, completion of ABIS. They both agreed. When we then said to them, we can't contract the two of you. One of you must be the lead. So amongst yourselves, then you make that decision. They made the decision that NEC was going to lead, and then BIS was going to be the subcontractor. That's how we got into the support and maintenance contract of Hannes. But in that proposal that they gave us, NEC, they gave us a proposal that said, you ask us to support a harness for 2 years, we can do some tech refresh to stabilize harness because we don't want to support something that's going to give us problems. And their proposal was too different from what Maples had given the department. We agreed to that. We did make refresh on harness to ensure that at least it carries out for us for another 2 years. So the harness was stabilized by that team after they accepted that we accepted their proposal to develop, to do tech refresh within the budget we had allocated for support and maintenance. That work was undertaken seamless in 2019. Then they continued in that regard. So that is why up to today, we still have the harness that was still working, is still working. And the part to it is that they also came with a proposal that said we can actually upgrade this harness to be at the same level as an ABIS functionality. But unfortunately, at the time when they read that proposal, we only had the contractual obligation to do ABIS. So it was difficult to say that let's take your proposal. We said, no, park that we will discuss it at a different time. When there were problems with ABIS now, and when we came to the committee, as Deputy Minister has indicated, when we were trying to save the project, 2 proposals that we brought, the one proposal was for academia, and the second proposal was for aid to aid the harness to be the same as ABIS, because we saw that there's potential for the two. Unfortunately, the decision that was made again was you can ditch the 100 billion software, rather continue to give this one an opportunity to be able to see this and be able to complete this work because the fruitless and wasteful expense. The question that will draw you then ask, it is true that this can be upgraded to the same as an ABIS, to have ABIS functionality. But what I'm saying is that at the time that the department wanted to do that, it was hit with the bill of 700 million by Maples at the time to be able to upgrade. Those were the issues. And the second attempt to do that was the fact that the ABIS contract was already there and there was an amount that was already spent on software. Therefore, if you were going to take the harness proposal at the time, then it would have meant that you needed to write off that particular amount. But I must also emphasize that when we asked the proposal from NEC, they asked also that we give the bill of material all hardware we had for ABIS, because that if they were to give us a proposal to upgrade harness, they must repurpose the hardware that was not for ABIS so that is utilized, because that belongs to the department. So that's where we are in that regard. In terms of the functionalities that have been activated, the functionalities that have been activated currently is the facial recognition, the fingerprint, and latent search. That was there's been tested on ABIS as we speak. Actually, on Friday, on Saturday, when there was a test on one of the applications for facial recognition, there was only one case where the facial recognition was rejected. And it turned out it was somebody who was a naturalized citizen was applying for a passport. So that matter has been looked into for naturalized citizens so that it does facial recognition, does not reject them. And then in terms of the transaction of data, what we found is that the data on harness has been transferred. But there's 71,000 records, I'm advised, that they were found in another harness subsystem. Currently, they're being asked before they can actually be transferred. Those records are being analyzed, so that work is currently ongoing. And then in terms of the percentage of the hardware that you said has reached the end of life, you'll recall last day we reported that there were additional licenses that were bought for the warranties that were for the warranties that were bought for the hardware in order for it to contain. I will just have to go back and check with the team how far is that warranty. But my understanding was that IDEMIA themselves, they did buy the extended warranty in order for the equipment to remain. And the budget is still there, that was budgeted for this project, as you are correctly saying that what we have indicated, we have expended when EOH was still here, and what we have spent with ADEMIA. So the budget has not been exhausted in terms of this particular project. As I've said, the DC one I leave to the DG. The issue of the system downtime, we reported, Chair, when we were reporting in our Q1 report, that the system indeed gets overloaded. But
Mr. Matonsi?
Yes, Chair.
I was still with the DDG.
Yeah, it seems as if his bandwidth is very low. It's not. I can't hear him.
Okay.
I can't hear him, but he's still on the system.
Yeah. Can somebody advise him to get a proper space? In the meantime, we'll request the DG to come in. Then we'll check if he's back. DG?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Deputy Minister. Good morning, honorable members and self-chairperson. Just to deal with a few issues while Mr. Mavuso is reconnecting. I think Honorable Pillay asked a question with regards to penalties. That's provided for in the MSA where the contracted party is not able to deliver at a particular time. We then had to impose those penalties. We wrote to them. We are waiting for ADEMIA to come back to us with an offer in terms of how we need to resolve this matter. As you know, contractual matters are quite complex, but we stand ready to find a resolution to this matter while as we wait for their response. Then you also asked if there was any data lost. I think Mr. Mavuso spoke about stacked passports during the previous migration. And over the weekend, as he said, we'll continue to monitor in terms of the stabilization if there's any data that's lost. And for sure, we can come back to the committee with regards to that. In terms of data that's been migrated, I think we were only left over the weekend on Saturday with 72,000 in terms of data that still need to be migrated. But this is something that they are working on, which means we're almost close to the end in terms of migrating the entire data base from Harness, and it is usable as stated. And then the last one was an issue around DCs. As you recall that there were 6 officials at the Department of Home Affairs that the report by SABNT stated that needed to be taken through a disciplinary process. That process started some times ago. It's chaired by a senior counsel appointed by the State Attorney's Office. They have indicated that we should have all matters finalized by the 21st of September. Others have been finalized, but we're waiting for an entire pack that indicates the verdict of all of them. So we should receive that by the 21st of September. And I think some of the issues that have been referred to with regards to the fraud and corruption as a case that's been reported to the Hawks. They are still busy with that case. That case was reported to Pretoria Central sometimes ago. So let me pause here. For now, I'm not sure if Mr. Mavuso is back online. Mr. Mavuso?
Okay, Deputy Minister.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Apologies there because we have lost Mr. Mavuso. Then he was still going through some of the technical questions that have to do with this particular project. Firstly, Chair, I think let's just deal with the one take-home issue for today, which is that we are currently running on ABIS as our primary platform. And we're at a stage where we are now observing systems stability, which means that the system is working for us. I'm not sure, Chair, maybe we should give Mr. Mavuso just to finish off on the technical question. I see that he has come back.
Okay, Mr. Mavuso, are you back? Okay, proceed, DM.
I'll proceed. I see it says connecting audio. I think for me, that is a very serious and a good development that we are now just on systems stability phase. It's not as if the project has collapsed per se. The other issue, which was a strong issue, and I think Mr. Ross is correct, is that we are very strong when it comes to the issue of fighting corruption and making sure that whoever was responsible for all the wrongdoing pertaining to this project is brought to book. And that is why we commissioned the next year SABNT, and we did come to this committee to present the report that we got from them as independent. And subsequent to that, because we must report whatever wrongdoing to the relevant authorities that have the investigative and the criminal prosecution power to do so. And that is why we have a case registered with the Hawks. We can even share a case number for that particular case so that they do the criminal investigations whilst we have already dealt with the other investigations. You will notice that in terms of the DC processes, there are 6 people who are identified, and the DG has already alluded to that. And we are expecting a verdict on the 6th by the 21st of September. We already have a senior counsel working on this issue. Having a senior counsel is also a direct indication of how seriously we take these cases, because most often the people who are involved in corruption also have access to resources, and they often hire very powered up legal teams in order to deter us. But because we will not be deterred, we also have the responsibility of making sure that we get the best of counsel. And the issue of saving the project was not only just because we had said, no, Hannes was absolute, but we had already committed to this project. We had already spent resources in this project in the form of hardware and so on. And as a result, just ignoring it or just setting it aside will have really set us back. We also looked in terms of the shortest route in which it was possible for us to start deriving benefits so that we can take Home Affairs to another level. Those are some of the issues that drove us towards making sure that we save this project. One of the key things that I think we have learned from this is that there is a general deficiency when it comes to state procurement in dealing with issues of IT, and we are handling that. And those deficiencies mean that we are not flexible as much as we are supposed to be flexible in how we buy technology and how we take decisions, particularly because when it comes to technology, the advances happen so quick, whilst the procurement processes that you have to follow are very slow, as governed by the PFMA and as governed by the law. So we are looking into that. And on the issue of the second phase, we did explore our options in terms of getting out of the contract when it comes to the issue of the second phase, which was part of the MSA. And we got the legal opinion that we might not have enough reason for now to then pull out from there. And that is why we then continued. But we are monitoring the situation closely. But for me, I think the biggest take home is that we are running on ABIS as a primary platform. We have done the test. Very few problems have been identified. We are now just on testing the stability and then continuing with the build-up of the system. Just lastly, Chair, the most important issue also as well is that in terms of value for money, we have not paid for services that we have not received from the service provider. All of that was to make sure that the money that we spend, it must be on the basis of a service that we are already yielding benefits out of. And that for me is very important, because currently the deliverables are ahead whilst the payments are behind, because we have to make sure that whatever that is delivered works, and then we can then be in a position to pay. Thank you.
Thank you, TM. Mr. Mavus, are you back? If you can fill up some of the areas you wanted to respond on.
No, thanks, Chair. My apologies. The system just switched off and connecting. So indicating then to Honorable Ross on the issue of the system downtime that is caused by the web service. The question he asked, say, how many transactions are banks doing per annum? So we've got two types of transactions that are happening. First is what we refer as commercial verifications, where the bank has got an API that is directly linked to Harness. So where they do in the region of about 3 million verifications a month. So that's the one issue. Then there's another one which we refer to as a non-bio, which where it's actually creating the information directly from an ABIS and Harness and an NPR. These are bulk verifications that we get from banks for us to do. We get in the region of about 10 of those that we do a month. So if you were to multiply that by 12, then you get the number of just over 100 million that we do on a monthly basis. The commercial verification, so basically when you go to the bank, we've got those small gray fingerprint prints that they use to authenticate the client directly to Harness. That's the one that I refer to as commercial verifications that we give to the banks. Then the Honorable Kanyile make reference to say in terms of the training that we give to the banks. And no, we don't give training to the banks, but we basically what happens is that their staff they utilize their own front end systems. But what their staff know is before when they process a client, they must get a green what we call activation, and then also the form that comes out from client. So that's what we get information for. And then is the issues in relation of, remember when we talk about the front end system that offline thing is, it's not like when you talk about live capture to say live capture must have an online. It's a database that a front end system goes and do verification at the back office. So that's basically how it works. And then in terms of the data, the team is ensuring that all the data that was sitting on Harness is migrated. That's why we have indicated that there are about 7,000 odd records that we've almost 1,000 that were found on the subsystem that I've made reference to. That are being tested and verified now, and that they will be injected into ABIS when that beta is completed. And we are trying to show
yeah, we're struggling with the DM and DG. We're struggling with Mr. Mavuso. It is clearer that there are issues that were sufficiently responded on matters that members have raised. Can I check, members, if there's any other matter that you'll need is not responded properly by the DM and the DG, so that we close up and we'll do follow up written questions to DG now that we're struggling with Mr. Mavuso, so that we're able to come back in the just to follow up in particular on this process of the IDEMIA and the contract and the penalties and the system collapse. Honorable Khwase and Honorable Ross, I see your hands. You can start on the follow-up, Honorable Khwase.
Chair, let me first apologize for being in and out of the meeting. I have a problem with the network, but maybe one did not hear. My only question is that one is interested on knowing on who will be responsible for the long-term functioning of the ABIS and its functionality. Maybe it was covered, I was kicked out. I just need clarity on that one, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kwase. Honorable Ross.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few that were missed, and then one or two clarification as well. So, I did speak about SAPS and the fact that they needed to access this data. And it seemed to be indicated that the latent prints and that is up and running. So is SAPS currently able to now interrogate the database and use it to identify perpetrators? I just want to get clarity on that. If not, then when is that going to be completed? Because my understanding is that SAPS currently uses their own ABIS database, but that's only persons that they've actually caught, etc. So to my understanding, it's critical that SAPS has access to this data to be able to verify fingerprints. Then also just I had asked whether the migration was complete, and we heard that 71,000 records still need to be completed. But part of the other question was, is the integrity of the data confirmed? Is there any duplication of data, etc., or is there just sort of raw data that's been copied across? I just want to get clarity on that. Is it 100% data integrity? Has that been confirmed, that you would be in a position to then switch off harness in the relatively near future? I was a bit concerned about the Deputy Minister saying that disciplinaries are still ongoing, because the SABNT report was from the 15th of February 2021. So if this is the case, it's taken 2.5 years to do these disciplinaries. I'd just like to understand why is it taking so long? Are these persons on suspension? Are they getting paid? Are they getting their bonuses? And then also I see Mr. Mavuso tried to answer the questions about security, but I said banks and other service providers. I'd like to understand what other service providers are accessing the data. I didn't get an answer as to whether the data is secure end-to-end, or whether the raw data can be downloaded by these clients. And then the final question, Chair, is, we now see here that phase 2 is due March 2024. But what about phase 3? So phase 3 is all the other functionality that was supposed to be delivered on the tender. So when is that phase going to be complete? Because if we're now talking about 3, 4, 5 years, I don't understand why it's taking so long into the future. If we remember that this project was supposed to be done within a year or 2 years maximum. So it seems like now it's already going to be another year or two. It's like we're doing the whole project again. So I just want to understand, when is phase 3 going to be complete? And why is it so much longer? Why is the implementation timeframe so much longer? They've already had 4 or 5 years to work on this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think those are I assume Honorable Kwase is a legacy hand.
It's a legacy hand, Chair. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Let's take this last follow-ups, DG. I'm not sure, Mr. Mavuso, you seem to be struggling with the network. Are you back?
No, I'm back. You have connected on a different network.
Okay, no, thanks. That's perfect. I think let's just take these follow-up questions, and we'll then outline the way forward on the subject matter. Thank you.
Yes, Chair. I think I picked up 3 questions from Honorable Ross on the issue of the integrity of data. Chair, I must indicate that the integrity of data has been verified. Basically, if we are saying that you are going to the office, we are transacting you on ABIS, we should be getting the same information that is stored on harness in that regard. And that has been happening to clients that have been processed. Where there might be 1 cases or 2 that are an exception, so obviously those will be corrected, because the system obviously has got to perform for it to be able to demonstrate its functionality. On the issue of SAPS having access to latent search, they've not yet had access to that, but the latent search was tested successfully over the weekend. during their release. And obviously the issue now of SAP starting to utilize it is something that we're going to do moving forward. But the biometric capability or the functionality has been successfully tested. And then on phase 3, so let me explain. When this project started, phase 3 was not scoped, was not costed. So phase 3 was about support and maintenance and other innovations. And that is why we've then said other innovations, we would have to include things like the DNA, which we believe that it's a very important biometrics for a country to have. But obviously, there's issues around ethics on the DNA collections. There's been a lot of studies that we have been involved in to ensure that all the international protocols in relation to the scoping and the collection of DNA data is something that it's going to be done within those particular ethical frameworks. So for now, the phase 3 component really is about support and maintenance and other innovation. And as we've said, that was not scoped in the tender, that was not costed, but it was something that what was more important in the phase 3 part was the continued support and maintenance for the period post the completion of phase 1 and phase 2. I think those are the two issues that I thought I should just deal with as part of as part of the response to the follow-up questions. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, DDG Mavuso. DDG, if anything to say?
Thank you, Chair. I think Mr. Mavuso has covered the other questions that came as follows. Thank you.
Okay, DM.
No, thanks, Chair. In terms of the responsibility when it comes to the system will be a Home Affairs system, and it will continue to be housed within Home Affairs, and as such, the Information Technology Systems Unit will continue to be responsible for the system, while there are issues of maintenance, which I think Mr. Mavuso has dealt with, which will come as part of phase phase 3. When it comes to the issues of the disciplinary cases, I think over time we have been saying this, that we have walked quite a bumpy road when it comes to the disciplinary processes, and they take time because the law requires them to take time in terms of the processes, whether people abuse it in terms of appeals and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, we have to act, and we can't tire just because we are saying, no, now this person is appealing, this person is taking this legal route. Today they come in, they say they are sick, the processes can't continue. It's part of what the law prescribes. Ours is just to make sure that we get to the bottom of it, and we're quite happy that on the 21st, we will be getting those outcomes in terms of the disciplinary processes, which means that we did not yield. And as I've said before, is that people who are doing wrong things and people who are entangled in corruption, they are not going to sit back and wait and just for you to throw punches. When you throw punches, they also stand up and seek to fight so that they make you tire. But we are not going to tire. We will walk the road up until we get to the bottom of it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DM. Thank you, honorable members, and the DG and DDG Mavuso for taking questions. We'll note the progress report or the update.
Sorry, Chairperson.
Honorable Ross?
Apologies to interrupt, Chairperson. It's just my question on the security, that the data security, is the data end-to-end encrypted? Can the raw data be downloaded? And who are the other users of that service? That hasn't been answered. It's a very important question, Chair.
Okay, noted. Honorable Mavuso, can we assist Honorable Ross or members?
So can I request that that question be dealt with offline, because it's a critical question of the systems of the country. So if we are to answer such questions in a public platform, unfortunately, Chair, it has huge implications for us. I'm prepared to give Honorable Ross the information.
Yeah, I wanted you just to clearly raise that without outsourcing your response. Honorable Ross, I think we can leave it at that point. We will interact with the our colleagues around the security measures. I think you also appreciate the position the department will be if we can expose the network publicly. But I think you'll get.
Fine, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Thank you very much, members. Thanks. And we are noting the report and the progress that has been made, but also we'll continuously to monitor the issues that are arising from the report, DM and the DG. And we thank you for having updated the committee on this report. We'll stand off this item, and we'll then move to the second item, Mr. Matonzi, which is the consideration of the committee on the name that must serve as part of the commissioners. Members will know that the term of one of the commissioners in the IEC has lapsed or in April, and the Speaker has since advised the Chief Justice to proceed with inviting candidates or members of society who are interested to serve as the commissioners at the IEC, and that Chief Justice has since dealt with the matter. The advert was carried, interviews were carried, and the process was guided by Section 6 of the Electoral Commissions Act 1996 to facilitate this process. And all of us were able to interact with this process or observe as they've been interviewed. We further circulated the process and the background of each and every individual that was recommended or shortlisted and interviewed by the panel chaired by the Chief Justice. And the Chief Justice has since sent a report back to the Speaker and the letter and all the process that was undertaken. And we want also to commend the work that has been done by the collective and also all the members who participated or candidates that have participated in this process of being interviewed, and all of them demonstrated a good interaction with the panel. We have now requested Mr. Matonzi to circulate and allow members to interface with this process. Records have been facilitated to members, and consultation, I assume, has been done. Mr. Matonzi, is there any other matter before I invite members to comment and reflect on the candidate that we must recommend to the House to serve as the Commissioner of the IEC? Mr. Matonzi?
There's no other matter except that once we have come to an agreement in the name of a candidate that we are going to recommend to the National Assembly, we have to adopt the report. I've already circulated a draft report without a name, that we just have to insert the name of the person that the committee will come up with and send it to the National Assembly today. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the brief. We've thought we must introduce the matter to members. And already, as I've indicated, you have documents gone through in the consultation on the issues that we must deal with. I will invite members to comment and propose candidates. The reason we will not introduce each and every candidate, the performance and the background, is that we've already circulated to members and have gone through the background check and how they've participated and performed in the Chief Justice process. So members will just comment or deliberate and advise how and who we must consider to submit the name to the National Assembly. I would invite Honorable Mdise Honorable Mokhale, Honorable Ruos, Honorable Kanyele, Honorable Pillay, Honorable Mulekwa, Honorable Bongo, and Honorable Khwase. In that order, Honorable Mudisimza.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity. Chair, the ANC would want to recommend and nominate the candidate by the name of Ms. Janet Yetalove to serve as a commissioner of the Independent Electoral Commission, following the process that undertook by the Chief Justice in terms of Section 6 of the Electoral Commission Act 51 of 1966. Chair, we appreciate the important work that has been done by the CJ. In addition to Ms. Jeanette Yetalove, she has a strong academic qualifications that includes, amongst others, a bachelor's degree in political science and industrial psychology, a master's degree in public financial management from the University of London, and a number of postgraduate diplomas from the University of Wits. Commissioner Love brings a wealth of experience in the public service, Chair. As a commissioner of the IEC, we believe that Commissioner Love will present the continuity of the work of the Electoral Commission. Therefore, as the ANC Chair, we recommend the name of Ms. Jeanette Yetalove to be considered as a commissioner of the Independent Electoral Commission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mudisimza. Honorable Mokhale.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me also take this opportunity to send condolences to the IFP on the loss of Nkosi Buthelezi. Chairperson, thank you for providing us with the transcripts of the interviews that were conducted. Having gone through the transcript, Chair, I don't know, but I think the questions that were posed to the candidates, I think I would have expected much more better questions than what they were faced with. I mean, we are approaching what is going to be a highly contested election next year. And I would have loved to hear the views of the candidates on, some of the things that, potentially could emerge as challenges to this upcoming election on the issue, for example, of the independent candidates and their participation and so on. And also what is also currently a major problem in our election, which is participation, the level of participation, and how they are going to contribute towards ensuring that there's high levels of participation, especially by the youth. But of all the candidates we have here, I didn't see anyone being asked or respond to those particular questions. And I think those are very important questions, particularly of the participation of young people. So I personally believe we would have expected so that at least one has a
how can I put this? We are able to make a much more better assessment of the candidates that we are presented with. So, Chairperson, on this one, we're not going to forward any name. We're going to abstain as the EFF. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mohale, for your contribution and observations. Honorable Ross.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, yes, we too are appreciative of the Chief Justice and the interview panel, and you know, for what we believe to have done a good job. And I think from this process, we are happy to support the nomination of Janet Yetta Love as IEC Commissioner. I think she is the most experienced and capable candidate for the role out of the candidates, and some very good interviews there. She served as IEC Commissioner since 2016, and as Vice Chairperson of the IEC since 2018, and has always made solid contributions in her role. And I think at this critical time, her experience and her know-how is very important to the IEC, and so we are happy to support her nomination. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ross, for your contributions. Honorable Kanyile, if you are still on the line. Okay, Honorable Molekwa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I am covered by Honorable Modisembe. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pile.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let us appreciate the process that has unfolded. We must also appreciate all of the candidates that applied, and we fully support the nomination of Janet Love. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pile. Honorable Bongani Bongo.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Let me join colleagues to appreciate the good work done by the Office of the Chief Justice and the panel. I support the name of Ms. J.Y. Love for the reasons that Honorable Modisembe has already outlined. I think the experience that is bringing and the issue of continuity, I think is the main, and the wealth of academia that she possesses. I think this committee must unanimously agree on the name of former Commissioner Love. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Bongo. Honorable Khwasa.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will also support the submission by Honorable Modisembe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, members, for your consideration. The committee has now considered to recommend to the House Ms. Janet Love to serve as a member of as Commissioner. We note the Honorable Mohale's contributions and the observation. And I want to thank members for having considered to proceed with this item. Mr. Matonsi will now read the report for purpose of endorsing it, so that we then submit notice to the National Assembly. Mr. Matonsi?
Yes, Chairperson, I'll just go through the report. Draft report of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs on the filling of a vacancy in the Electoral Commission of South Africa, dated 12th September, which is today. The Committee on Home Affairs, having considered a request to the National Assembly by the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Chief Justice Zondo, to nominate a suitable candidate to fill a vacancy in the IEC, report as follows. Interview of publicly submitted candidates were conducted by a panel established in terms of Section 3, Subsection 3, Section 6, Subsection 3 of the Electoral Commission Act 1996 of number 51 of 1996, and comprising the Chief Justice as a chairperson, the chairperson of the South African Human Rights Commission, the chairperson of the Commission for Gender, and the Public Protector. Subsequently, the Chief Justice submitted a short list of 8 candidates and their curricula vitae to the National Assembly to for consideration to fill a vacancy in the Electoral Commission of South Africa. The matter of the Electoral Commission vacancy was referred to the Portfolio Committee on 27 July 2023 for consideration and report. On the ATC, the numbers 97, 2023 on page 2. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs tabled the letter to the committee on 29 August to ensure that the committee members consult with their political parties. On 5 September, which is last week, the committee finalized the deliberation. Okay. So chairperson, here, I think I need to just indicate 12 there. On 12 September, the committee finalized deliberation, adopted the report with the name of the recommended candidate to the National Assembly. Following this deliberation, the committee recommends that the House approve the nomination of Ms. J.Y. Love for the appointment to fill the IEC vacancy. Report to be considered, chairperson. That's all. So we'll request chairperson if we can have a mover and a seconder if there are no other additions that we need to have.
Thank you. That, I think, reflects the process which was undertaken by the Chief Justice, by the Speaker, and by the committee. Can I now invite members to move for the adoption of the draft report?
I move for adoption, Chair.
Move for adoption, Honorable Bongo. Seconder?
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ross. Any objection? No objection. The report has now been considered and will be served before the National Assembly. Thank you, members. Can we move to the last item, Honorable Matonzi?
Okay, Chair. The next one is the salaries of IEC commissioners. Sorry.
Mr. Matonzi?
Yes, Chairperson, I'm trying to get the other item. Adam, do you have the letter from the Speaker on the salaries of commissioners? Hello, Adam?
I can open it. Let's try. Keep trying.
Yeah,
I'll try from my side as well.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure, I'm not getting it. If you can get it, Adam, if you can share it, the letter.
Yeah, let's share it so that you read on it to record. I know members have already have those correspondence, so it's important to read it into record.
Okay, Eddie, you need to allow me to share, Eddie?
Yeah, I did.
It says it's still not allowing me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. What is wrong with the system today?
Are you talking?
Oh, just hold on. Yes, I've done that. Are you winning, Adam? Oh. Adam?
This one, or the letter that you composed?
The letter. If you can share the letter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm opening it, Eddie. Just give me a second. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Matonsi and Mr. Salmon?
Yeah, it's sharing now, Chair.
Okay, can you go through it?
Okay, this is the report. No, it's fine. This is the report. Okay, but we can go through the report. Adam, can you just go through it? But I was thinking that we're going to get the letter from the president that was sent to the speaker. But also this one has got the same recommendation that
Yes,
the
it's
letter.
the same.
Yeah,
the same. Yes. Now I'll read through it. The draft report of the Portfolio Committee on the draft notice determining the remuneration of commissioners of the Electoral Commission of South Africa for 2023, dated 12 September 2023. The Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, having considered the draft notice of the President's determination of the salary and allowances of members of various institutions, including the Commission of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, reports as follows. A letter dated 8 August 2023 was received from the President of the Republic requesting the National Assembly to consider the draft notice of determination of the salaries and allowances of members of the various institutions, including the Commissioners of the Electoral Commission, in terms of the determination of remuneration of office bearers and independent constitutional institutions for 2023, usually required by the end of the financial year. On 18 August 2023, the matter was referred to the Committee for consideration. Section 2195 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa provides that national legislation must establish frameworks for determining the salaries, allowances, and benefits of judges, the public protector, the Auditor General, members of the Commission, provided for in the Constitution, including the IEC. The termination of remuneration of office bearers came into effect on 1 April 2019 and creates necessary framework to determine salaries of office bearers of Chapter 9 institutions. Section 7.2 of the Electoral Act provides that conditions of service, remuneration, allowances, and other benefits of commissioners shall from time to time be determined by the President after consultation with the Commission on Remuneration of Representatives. And a distinction may be made between commissioners appointed in a full-time or part-time capacity. The President received the annual salary recommendations from the Independent Commission for Remuneration of Office Bearers, and the Commission recommended a 3.8% salary increment for categories of public office bearers, including the independent constitutional institutions for financial year 2023. The President considered the Commission's recommendations as serious economic challenges facing the country and decided on a 3% salary increment for all members of the independent constitutional institutions. The one part-time IEC Commission is a judge and as such is remunerated in terms of Section 2.4 of the Judges' Remuneration and Conditions of Employment Act. The recommendation is that the committee, having deliberated, concur with the President's determination on the remuneration adjusted of IEC commissioners, that a retrospective salary increase of 3% be implemented for chairperson and other full-time commissioners given their salary level for the 2023 financial year. This equates to a total remuneration of 2.573 million for the chairperson of the ISA and 2.24 million for the full-time commissioners. A full-time commissioner will be remunerated, a part-time commissioner will be remunerated a daily rate or hourly sitting rate calculated on the basic salary of the judge of a high court. The committee recommends that the NA approve the notice determining the remuneration of commissioners of the Electoral Commission of South Africa. Report to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Members, we received the letter referred by the Speaker on the salary determination of Chapter 9 institution. We ought to consider the letter by the committee and will refer it to the National Assembly for endorsement or for approval. Can I invite members to comment on the proposed salary determination? Honorable Mudisemza, Honorable Mokhale, Honorable Rose, Honorable Pillay, Honorable Molekwa, Honorable Bongo, and Honorable Khwase. In that order.
Thank you, Chair. I think as a committee, we note the proposed salary determinations. As a committee, I also feel that we actually do not have much say on these recommendations or the proposals. It is not with us whether we can want to make any amends, increase or decrease any determinations that have been made. So in that regard, Chair, I would request that the committee notes and recommend that the report be forwarded to the National Assembly for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mudisemza. Honorable Mokhale.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. No, I'm not going to support.
Thank you, Honorable Mokhale. Honorable Rose. Honorable Pillay.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. No, Chair, I want to concur with Honorable Modise that when it comes to these limits, unfortunately, we can't change or do anything about it, but yes, we do support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Molekwa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. As recommended by Honorable Mudisemza that the report be noted. Thank you.
Honorable Bongo.
Thank you, Chair. I support what Honorable Molekwa, Honorable Pillay, and Mudisemza have recommended.
Thank you, Honorable Khwase.
Thank you, Chair. I'm noting the report and supports the view that it should be sent to the National Assembly to be processed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. You proposed and seconded the report. We are carrying the report to the National Assembly for approval. Thanks, members. And we've noted the submission of Honorable Mokhale. Thanks, members, for having considered the two items of the IEC. And we'll now go to the last item, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. Mr. Matonsi?
Yes, Chairperson. This is the minutes of June 13th that were presented to the committee previously, and then they were deferred to another date. There was a sentence that Mr. Ross suggested it should be inserted under the registration of Muslim marriages. The sentence that we inserted there that Mr. Ross suggests that the minister and Mr. Hendricks will report to the committee after Ajama's senior counsel and the minister's legal team have met to consolidate the regulations and ways to address the members' concern. That was the sentence that we inserted, Chairperson, in the last meeting that Mr. Ross raised.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right.
These minutes members were read in our last committee meeting, and there was some area Mr. Matonji did not capture it well in terms of the decisions that were taken and guidance that members have advised the minister and the Honorable Hendricks. And there was that only area or part of the minutes that were deferred so that Mr. Matonsi go back to the transcript to check the notes that informed the decisions of the last committee meeting. Can I invite members to consider the minutes as amended?
Chair, move for adoption.
Honorable Pillay, move for adoption. Seconder.
Lekwasa seconds, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Khwase. Any objection? No objection. The minutes are carried. Mr. Matonzi, is there any other matter?
Yes, we still have got two sets.
Okay.
Then the other one is for August 29, where we're dealing with the department on the Lubisi report. They were briefing us on their implementation of the Lubisi recommendation report, and government printing works were also briefing us on the ministerial task team report implementation. That's where, Chairperson, you also tabled the report from the Chief Justice on the IEC vacancy. That's all, Chairperson, we dealt with on the 29th. The minutes were sent to members.
Okay, members, any comments on the... We've read through the minutes. They were circulated to all of us. Can I invite move for the adoption of the minutes?
I move for the adoption of the minutes, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Disemza. Seconder.
Chair, I'll second the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Any objection? No objection. The minutes are carried. Let's move to the last minutes.
Okay, then the last minutes, Chairperson, is last week's minutes meeting wherein the department and BMA briefed the committee on their first quarter performance and expenditure for 2023-2024. So I think that's all, Chairperson, that we dealt with.
Thank you, members. Minutes have been circulated and we've read through. Can I invite comments or move up for adoption?
Move for the adoption, Chair.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable.
The spelling of my surname be corrected. It's not Moleka, but Molekwa.
Oh, okay.
And then I move for the adoption of the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Honorable Molekwa, for correction. Any seconder to the adoption? To the mover?
I move for the adoption, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Molekwa.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. The minutes, any objection? No objection. The minutes have been carried. Members, thanks very much for having considered all the items and all the issues that we raised. Deputy Minister, we are requesting that your ministry indicate when will I think in the next meeting, you may prepare that you indicate when are going to receive or when is cabinet going to approve the consequential amendments so that we're able to deal with that item once you have tabled it before the House and refer to the committee. So that members at least they've a sense as to where is the matter so that we're able to assist. As you have noticed that the IEC has already made a commented in terms of the time frame of scheduling in preparation for the 2024 national, provincial and national elections. So we request that you take note of that, and the ministry in the next meeting just update on where you are in terms of the process. Members, thanks very much for, and also the presentation of the ABIS, and we've noted progress and the issues that will follow up as the committee. Honorable Makhale, I see your hand. Honorable Makhale?
Yes, Chair. Chairperson, we wrote a letter to the department 2 weeks ago requesting certain information. Till today, we have not received any response from the department. So I don't know what is it that they want us to do for us to get that information that we have requested. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Well, I've received that letter and we have since sent to the department. And I think in the next meeting, we'll be able to get a guidance from the ministry, or after this meeting, we'll get the guidance as how are they attending to the correspondence we have forwarded to them. DM, I think on those 2 issues, you have noted them, I assume.
Yes, Chair, we have noted the 2 issues, the issue of the letter sent, as well as the issue of the consequential amendments. We will as such. Thank you.
Okay. No, thanks, members. I think we'll leave it at that point. Honorable Makhale will then interact with the ministry when they come back to us. Thanks, members. The meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chair.